Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Katlego. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back to another video. So this is the first video of a segment on my channel I am calling Conservation News, where I'm going to be talking to you every other week about the latest in conservation news that excite me, that I think you guys might want to know about. Today we are talking about the lion situation, because this is something at work with my team we've been talking about, and it's just very interesting. Like, it's hot goss if you would like to call it that. But to me, it's a very interesting topic that I don't see a lot of young people talking about. I don't see a lot of people talking about, unless like you own lions or something like that. But I think it's something very interesting that people should be interested about, people should know a little bit about. So without wasting time, let's get into the video. So the African lion, as you may know or you may not know, is iconic throughout Africa and serves as a flagship species for conservation. What that means is it's one of those species that are put on a pedestal, and we use them to sort of like drive conservation. You know, like the lion is part of the big five in South Africa. So the lion and the rhino and those big type of species that people care about, we kind of have them in the forefront whenever we're like trying to get across the message of conservation and stuff. So that's what that means. Lions have suffered severe population declines across the entire range, but in some southern African countries, their populations have been stable to increasing. Especially in South Africa, we do not our lions are not necessarily endangered. They are currently classified as vulnerable, so their population is not in immediate danger of like extinction or anything like that. And as we currently know, the main threats to lions are human-lion conflict in areas where, let's say you live close to the Kruger, a lion breaks out or something like that, goes into the community. Human-lion conflict means that there's like a clash. If the lions attacks people's cattle or anything like that, the people might kill the lion. So that's how we may lose some lions. And prey depletion and habitat or loss or fragmentation. This means that some lion population may decline because there's not enough prey for them. You know, the prey predator interaction. If you did ecology, you know, as the number of prey increases, the number of predators increases. As the number of prey declines, predators also decline. It's nothing of, if there's a lot of food, the population will increase. As there's less food, the population will decrease because they don't have much to eat. And obviously habitat loss in habitat means the animals that live there will decline because there's not enough suitable habitat for them to survive. However, there's another threat to lion population. This is trade related because it includes practices such as trophy hunting, lion bone sales, whereby you have people coming from other countries to countries that have lions to come and shoot lions. You know, these people that shoot animals and have their heads and hang them as like a trophy. That is what trophy hunting is. And lion bone sales especially happens in, I think it's Asian countries, where lion bones are sold to those people and they sell them off as tiger bones. There's a whole market. So with all this in mind, a captive lion sector has developed in South Africa since the 1990s and has sparked conflict about captive lions, especially using lions for various commercial purposes. And some controversial uses of these lions include things like cub petting. People are against it. Why are people playing with lion cubs? And other lion encounters, volunteer programs, live sales of lions, where people literally sell live lions. And they often do this, like they sell to other countries that do not have lions. Trophy hunting, on the other hand, as well as trade in some parts of lions like bone, teeth and claws, are common examples of extractive lion utilization. So here's the tea. The reason why I am talking about this whole lion issue is because there is controversy around owning lions, hunting lions, people coming to these places that keep lions in captive facilities where they play with baby lions and stuff like that. There is a huge controversy. On the one hand, you have the breeders. Obviously, they're making money off of their practices, and they're what's the word I'm looking for? They keep pushing the idea that having these places contributes to the conservation of lions because it increases lion population and stuff like that. On the other hand, you have conservationists that are doing science and are looking at the numbers and are like, well, you're not necessarily contributing to the lion population because genetically those lions are not the same as the wild lions that we have. And then on the other hand, you have NGOs, you have like can I call them ethics people? Animal right activists who are like, it's wrong, you cannot keep these animals locked up, this and the other, they have rights, sharp. So there's a huge controversy with these animals. And a couple of years ago, there were two prominent court cases that happened which got like national and international attention. Basically, the South African Breeders Association took the Minister of Environment to court saying they cannot put the lions on tops. So what this tells me is that a couple of years ago, the Minister of Environment wanted to put the lions on tops. TOPS stands for the threatened or protected species regulations. This means that lions were going to be regulated. There were going to be rules of you cannot trade these animals, you need to have a specific permit to own these animals, this. So the breeders, this camp, took the minister to court. No, you can't do this. They won. And the lions were like excluded from the TOPS list. And in 2020, pandemic hit, affected everybody. People who are trading got affected because borders were closed and on top of that, now the African lion subspecies, put their name here because I don't want to say it, is now listed as threatened under the US Endangered Species Act. This means that it is regulated under a species-specific rule that provides specific conservation measures. This means that, number one, COVID hit, borders are closed, the industry suffered. Number two, now there are trade restrictions with the US, which I think is one of the top consumers of lion bone. I don't know if I'm like, please, I will put all of my sources below. So because of this, they've suffered a lot. So they are trying to like get back on their feet to trade in lions and do all these things. The controversy is still there. There are still people pushing that it is wrong to own lion, to close up lions, to do all these things. And there's actually like very shocking footage of this is how lions are treated in South Africa. I really don't know how true that is. It could be like one facility or anything. I am not here for that. I just want to give you the information about lions in South Africa. On top of the US having all these regulations, COP17 called for the Minister of Environment again to have an export quota. Am I correct? Yes, to have an export quota for lions. This means that there was going to be a certain number of lions allowed for export. Like people could not go over. Let's say the quota is 5 lions per year. You can only export 5 lions per year. Obviously, people like the NSPCA, full name on the screen, they challenged this. They went to court. The court declared that the quota was unlawful and constitutionally invalid. So they won again. You can see there's like a whole thing between conservationists and breeders going on. Obviously, breeders are doing this as a business type of thing. So having all these restrictions affects them. COVID affected them. The minister is also talking to conservationists who are saying, bro, this is the way we need to go, but everything is just clashing. People are not agreeing. Following this, the Minister of Environment, this is where it gets like juicy. Following this, the Minister of Environment appointed an advisory panel in 2019 called the High Level Panel. This is a panel of experts. They were appointed basically to review policies, legislation, and practices on the matters regarding the rhino, the lion, the elephant, and the leopard. I think it was 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, basically they were looking at management, breeding, hunting, trade, and handling, and they looked at the whole picture of what is currently happening, what does the research say, and they were basically appointed to make recommendations or advise the minister on the way forward, what should be done with regards into these animals that are like regarded as highly important. In December 2020, after fieldwork and all the studies were conducted and the outcomes and recommendations from the high level panel came in. I am going to read you the recommendations now. Recommendation number 1. Please keep in mind, I'm only talking about lions. So I'm not talking about recommendations with regard to the leopard, the rhino, and the elephant. They recommended that the minister puts in place a process to halt, to stop, and reverse the domestication of our iconic lions through captive lion keeping, breeding, and commercial use, putting in place ethical and humane procedures for an euthanasia of existing captive lions. Basically, the high-level panel recommended to the minister that we shut down the captive lion industry, we euthanize all the lions. Keep that in mind. And then the second recommendation was that the minister puts in place policy decisions for an immediate halt to the sale of captive lion derivatives, including appropriate disposal of existing bone stockpiles and lion bone from euthanized lions. 2, the hunting of captive bred lions. And 3, tourist interaction with captive lions, including so-called volunteerism, carpeting, etc. So, number 1, they recommended that the minister shuts down the industry, euthanizes the lions. Number 2, they recommended that after shutting down these places, we stop the sales of any lion derivatives. So if somebody had lion bone, they cannot sell them. We stop the tourism industry of it. People cannot come and pet lions. Basically, the whole industry and everything that is involved, everything you get from that industry, 0. Shut it down. Stop. As you can imagine, the breeders are not happy about this, because you're saying, if I have lions and I have lion bone, there is an industry of people who are interested in getting what I have, but you're saying I'm shutting down, you are taking my lions and you are destroying all of the stockpiles that I have and stuff like that. They're not happy. Obviously they're not happy. So this is what's currently happening in the media. Articles are coming out. Firstly, gonna read to you an article by WRSA. So this is like the Breeders Association. According to the article that they wrote, they saying this decision to like have breeders exit the industry is a radical shift away from South Africa's successful conservation model. I personally don't know which model they're referring to, because I don't really know much. Anyway, the article by Daily Maverick came out a couple of weeks ago, and they were breaking down some of the assumptions made by these breeders. Basically, lion breeders are saying it is not okay for us to exit because this will have highly negative consequences. Number 1, they're saying lions are endangered. But this guy from the Daily Maverick was like, no, lions are actually listed as vulnerable, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, and closing the captive lion industry will have no impact on their conservation. Number 2, the breeders were putting on the assumption that breeding lions in enclosures is a conservation strategy. This was like red flashing, where the guy was like, no, captive bred lions are of no conservation value, and they are not even recognized in national or international red list assessments. Basically, the rule in South Africa is any captive bred animal cannot be put in the wild, because genetically they are not the same as the wild animals. in case of these lions, because of the type of places they're in, they also cannot be put in the wild because they've never lived in the wild. They wouldn't be able to survive in the wild. So now they're not necessarily planning on euthanizing them anymore because animal rights activists and no, ethically it's not okay. Even the vets are saying, like, ethically it's not okay to just euthanize the lions. So they're planning to put them in like sanctuaries and stuff. But anyway, I am digressing. The third assumption that I'm going to talk about in this video was that if the intensive lion breeding industry collapses, it will spell the end of private lion conservation. Again, the writer of the Daily Maverick article was like, no, the truth is that those who take up the phasing out offer to like exit the captive lion industry will most likely find their way smooth through some kind of incentive, and that the to be appointed task team that has to like find alternative ways of how to actually handle the the lions, and how to make this transition smooth for people who want to exit. They will be responsible for finding potential funders or incentives to support the people who are exiting, because essentially you're saying to somebody, close down your business. You need to give them something because that was their source of income. And that the breeders who don't take up this offer will have to face very tough regulations that are going to come up to secure the welfare of these lions. So that is the lion situation. I feel like I summarized it so much. If there's anything specific you want to know, if there's any conservation news you've heard of that you want me to talk about, please let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this. So juicy. Before my job, I actually didn't know that there was a whole lion thing happening. So that is why I wanted to start this series, to just tell you guys interesting things that are happening in conservation, because and to me this is very juicy news. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you in the next one.